Hi, it's Katrina. My friend David is going to be helping me out with the voiceover today, so everyone give him a warm welcome.
Number 10. Azazel. In Jewish tradition, the sins of the people could be transferred to a goat, and then that goat could be killed as atonement for the collective sin of that nation. This is the ancient custom of Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. A random male goat would be picked for the ceremony, and the high priest of the Second Temple would then transfer all the Jewish people's sin to their scapegoat. This goat, burdened by all the sin of every Jew in the world, was then led into the desert and pushed over a cliff. They called this goat Azazel, as it was the name of the embodiment of all uncleanliness and wretchedness. In later years, according to Jewish folklore, Azazel became the fallen angel who corrupted humanity. Understanding the original myth makes it much easier to see where the demonic Azazel story came from in later years of Christianity. Azazel was said to be a goat demon that dwelled in the desert. The parallels are fairly obvious, since the ceremony involved the goat being slaughtered in the desert. But in the Book of Enoch, we see Azazel as an angel who was sent from heaven to look after humanity in the early days of the planet. However, Azazel and the rest of his angels lusted after human women and gave in to temptation. They cast themselves out of heaven and then impregnated human women with their seed. This ushered in a period of great turmoil on the earth, as abominations were born through the unholy union between angels and human women. These hybrid creatures then ruled the halls of men and dominated the world, leaving chaos and evil in their wake. Azazel and the rest of his fallen angels were later tossed into the abyss for their betrayal of God. And it's believed that this betrayal was what forced God to send a flood to restart the earth. And now for number 9. But first, I need to give a big thank you to AK Knight for the super thanks and for supporting this channel. If you haven't already, be sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one. Number 9. The Demons of the Desert. Ahriman is the prince of evil spirits in ancient Zoroastrianism. Legend has it he was co-creator of the universe with his good-natured counterpart, the Lord of Light and Wisdom, Ahura Mazda. But Ahriman hated light and wisdom, so he created an army of demons known as Devas, whom he ordered to wreak as much havoc as possible on humanity. These demons of the desert were given the job of sowing dissension among human beings. They promoted atrocities, rewarded bad morals, and were just generally terrible. Zoroastrianism began in Iran many thousands of years ago. Its followers believed Ahriman had full control over the Iranian desert, likely because it was seen as such a dry and inhospitable place. Ahriman was equally as powerful as the Lord of Light, which was an interesting take on things. In most religions, the evil one is significantly weaker than the good one, but in ancient Persia, good and evil were on the same level. We can even see some early examples of Christian myth in the tales of Ahriman and his devas. It was said he fathered a child named Zohak, who was something of an antichrist. Zohak, according to legend, ruled all the lands for 1,000 years, until he was finally destroyed. Zoroastrian myth also says Ahura Mazda, the Lord of Light, will one day send 3 great saviors to destroy Ahriman and his evil forces. Kind of like how 3 wise men appeared to celebrate the birth of the Messiah in the Bible. Number 8. A demon loose in Japan. There's currently a demon loose in Japan. In spring of 2022, a magical stone split in half near Tokyo in the Tochigi Prefecture, releasing a demon that had been trapped inside for nearly 1,000 years. The stone is called the Seisho Seki, which roughly translates to killing stone. The myth surrounding the famous rock is a little complicated, but it's said to have contained the transformed corpse of a beautiful woman named Tamamo no Mei. She was part of a secret plot in the early 12th century to kill Emperor Toba, but the beautiful woman turned out to be an evil fox demon, a blasphemous creature with 9 tails and a heart of pure blackness. When the emperor realized he was facing a demon, he cast the wretch into a hunk of lava and locked her spirit inside. And apparently, the rock has been sitting there ever since. One day out of the blue, the rock split completely in half, leading some to worry that the dangerous spirit of the demon is now on the loose, floating around like a ghost. But in reality, the rock already had cracks in it before it split. Rainwater likely seeped inside the rock and gradually broke it open. Local government is now considering whether they should put the rock back together, preferably with Tamamo no Mei's spirit back inside. But what do you think about all this? Could a demon really have been released when the rock broke in half? Let us know what you think in the comments. Number 7. The Asuras. In Indic religions that originated in India such as Hinduism, Sikhism, and Jainism, there's a shared belief in angels and demons. They just aren't the same angels and demons from Christianity. According to Indic religions, there are beings known as Asuras, power-hungry demonic entities. Then there are Devas, benevolent deities. Deva itself is a word that means heavenly being, and in Hinduism a Deva is used to indicate any powerful god. But the Asuras hate them, and they're all about opposing them. In Hindu scriptures, the Asuras are constantly fighting against the Devas. The Devas are like the gods of Olympus, and the Asuras are anti-gods, trying to overthrow them using evil and malicious schemes. There's another big difference between the Devas and the Asuras. The Devas preside over the natural forces of the world, while the Asuras are more involved in day-to-day business. This is extremely similar to the Watchers from the Book of Enoch. The Asuras, being far closer to the humans of the world, were gradually corrupted by the same things that corrupt humanity, just like how God's angels were corrupted when he sent them to earth. Over time, the Asuras became obsessive, sinful, excessively greedy, and lusted after human women. Number 6. Eris, Angel of Strife. Eris was the Angel of Strife in Greek mythology. She was technically a goddess, but the way she was portrayed in ancient Greek artwork always makes her seem like an angel. Eris can be seen on countless artifacts as a beautiful woman with a huge set of wings. She was created long before Jesus Christ, at least 3,000 years ago in the Mediterranean, and yet she was one of the very first angelic beings. But despite being an angel, Eris was naturally evil. In Homer's Iliad, Eris is the daughter of Zeus and Hera, and the sister of Ares, the god of war. In Hesiod's Theogony, which was published in 700 BC, Eris was the child of Nyx, the very personification of night. She had many children of her own, but all of Eris's offspring were involved one way or another with the dark and other harmful things of the world. Eris herself was strife, and she bore children such as forgetfulness, famine, murder, quarrel, and dispute. All the things that would bring misery and pain to the humans of the earth. In Greek mythology, Eris wasn't a popular figure. She had a problematic personality and almost always caused trouble when she came into the picture. Her most famous role in Greek myth comes from the Trojan War. In the story, Eris was behind the golden apple of discord, which started the war in the first place. Number 5. The Demon of Sickness. Nasu appeared in ancient Iran as the demon of sickness in the Zoroastrian religion. Nasu was pure corruption and was believed to be the demon responsible for damaging the human body. He's thought to be behind menstruation or any kind of bleeding, for hair falling out, and for every other kind of illness that could occur in the body. Zoroastrians believed that as soon as a person lost consciousness, Nasu attacked their physical shell. He would generate pollution from decaying corpses and would spread that around in the air as a sickness. He was depicted as a despicable fly with bent knees, a weirdly shaped buttocks, and in almost every illustration of him, he's seen dribbling. Nasu was the reason Zoroastrians practiced such bizarre funerary traditions. They would expose a corpse naked to the elements and allow Nasu to have its way with the body until every scrap of flesh was gone. Only when the body had been reduced to bones would they bury the remains in an ossuary. Nasu was the one thing Zoroastrians feared more than anything. They must have had a sophisticated understanding of disease to know how decaying corpses and anything dead could easily spread sickness. They didn't even travel through the path a funeral procession had gone in because they were afraid Nasu haunted the area and would slip into their nose holes and poison them. Have you ever seen an angel or a demon with your own eyes? Tell us about your experience in the comments, and while you're at it, hit that subscribe button. Number 4. Apophis. Apophis was the great serpent of ancient Egypt. He was to the Egyptians what the serpent was to Christians in the Garden of Eden. Apophis was a deity who embodied chaos, and he was the arch-nemesis of the sun god Ra. The sun god, much like the sun gods of Rome and Greece, was believed to sail across the sky from dawn until dusk. The Greeks had Apollo, whom they believed steered his flaming chariot across the sky. Ra had a brilliantly blazing barge, which he supposedly used to sail across the sky until the darkness came. At dusk, Ra descended into the underworld on his return journey to the east, where he would rise once more as the sun. But as Ra passed through the underworld and the horrible darkness down there, he was attacked by Apophis the serpent. It was Apophis's goal to kill Ra and forever halt the sunrise. He was prevented from doing this, however, by Egyptian priests and the thousands of citizens who engaged in rituals to protect Ra. This was a major part of Egyptian religion. Priests held great ceremonies and offered sacrifices to assist Ra in his nightly journey to the underworld. Egyptians believed that with the help of their priests and by reciting the right spells and giving sacrifices to the gods, they assisted in fighting off the demon serpent. They knew that without their help, Apophis would kill Ra and the sun would never rise again. Number 3. The history of Lucifer. Lucifer, Satan, the devil, Beelzebub, or whatever you want to call him, is the most famous fallen angel in all of Christian mythology. He's the great adversary to God and his loyal followers. But just where exactly did Lucifer come from, and why does he have so many names? The story about Lucifer's fall from grace comes from the book of Isaiah. The passage where we get this from is really small, but it simply says, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations?" Just about everything you've ever heard about Satan comes from these few words. Then, of course, there's the story of the Garden of Eden and the serpent. But nowhere does it ever specifically say that the devil is the serpent. It's just a regular snake. The story of Adam and Eve comes from the Old Testament, the Hebrew Bible written long before the concept of the devil was ever invented. Satan makes no appearance in the book of Genesis either, but the term Lucifer became extremely blown out of proportion. The Gnostics became so excited over Lucifer that they believed he was the creator deity spoken of in the Old Testament. They glorified Lucifer as a fallen angel who came down to earth to start his own kingdom and trap souls inside solid matter, or bodies made of flesh. Gnostics believed Jesus came to earth to free the souls that were tormented inside their bodies, trapped forever because of Lucifer. Number 2. Tiamat. Tiamat was the Mesopotamian goddess of chaos. She appeared in the Babylonian epic Enuma Elish as the personification of the forces of chaos. She was seen as a direct threat to stabilized kingdoms of the Babylonian gods, specifically Marduk, the king of the gods. What's really interesting about Tiamat is that although she began as a sort of Mother Earth figure, she soon devolved into a demonic dragon, a female serpent who became associated with evil. Just like Egypt's Apophis and the Bible's serpent, Tiamat was transformed into an evil snake. Scholar Jeremy Black says Tiamat's name comes from the word Tiamtum, which means sea. She appeared sometime around 1792 BC during the reign of Hammurabi, but she may have existed earlier in Akkadian folklore. Some have suggested she was the Babylonian version of the mother goddess Namu, the biggest difference between them being that Tiamat had no motherly qualities. She was seen as the Earth Mother, and yet she wasn't nurturing. She was vengeful and angry, and fought against the gods until Marduk finally struck her down. Number 1. The Great Marquis of Hell. Ammon is the Great Marquis of Hell, the governor of 40 infernal legions and the leader of the 7th spirit of the Goetia. He also happens to be the demon of reproduction. Yet despite his grand role in the underworld, most people haven't heard of Ammon before. That's because he didn't become popular until 1583 AD when Johann Weyer wrote the Pseudemonarchia Demonum and listed the demons of hell in one conclusive tome. The name Ammon either comes from the god Amun or from Baal Hammon of ancient Carthage. Amun was an Egyptian deity with blue skin who looked like an alien, while Baal was the fertility god of Carthage who, according to early Christians, demanded blood sacrifice from his followers. In the Pseudemonarchia Demonum, Weir wrote of Ammon as having the likeness of a wolf with a serpent's tail, and he was said to be able to vomit fire. He had the teeth of a dog, the head of a mighty hawk, and was particularly skilled in reconciliation. Despite being a vomiting fire demon, Ammon was a reconciler of friend and foes. His name also appears in the magical text The Lesser Key of Solomon. This ancient grimoire explains that Ammon's name can be used by a magician to summon the spirits of people who drowned at sea. Who's your favorite evil entity? Let us know in the comments below. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel to be notified every time we post a new video. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye guys!